Hello, welcome back to Montreal IRL. I'm Montreal IRL, and this playlist is called The More You Know, where I upload videos telling you things, telling you facts, giving you tips on how to manage narcissistic personality disorders that may position themselves in your life. So today I'll also be doing a makeup look just to help the flow of The More You Know. It just helps me to concentrate on something while I'm talking. So let's get into it. Beginning with this balm primer, okay? This is the stuff. Ole Henriksen is how people are saying it, so that's how I'm gonna say it. It's really illuminating, like this conversation will be. So you can find many books, podcasts, memes, pages, videos on how to spot red flags in a partner or a person because, narcissistic abuse doesn't need to be from a partner. It can be a parent, an employer, literally anyone who positions themselves in your life or has a position in your life. That's what I mean. But instead of red flags, I really want to focus on building and maintaining boundaries because I think that is more important, at least to me, instead of going around feeling paranoid of people all the time, looking for these specific things, these specific motives. Whenever you meet someone, it just seems more exhausting than it really needs to be when you can set and maintain your boundary. Now, this is something that takes practice, not saying it's completely easy, but honestly, I think it's the way to go, instead of focusing on red flags, because that could be really dangerous. So, pause, I can't find my concealer. I've literally had this concealer since I was, in high school. It's Tarte, but you can't really see that anymore. Do you remember when Tarte made these? I think that spotting red flags is actually dangerous to focus on. Like I said, it makes people paranoid of always trying to look for something in someone, and you're probably not going to get all of them on the first date or first encounter. These are the type of things that just kind of pop up throughout and are really more like hindsight, connecting the dots in hindsight, honestly. So I want to focus on setting and building boundaries, or setting and maintaining boundaries. Maintaining is the key word here, especially when dealing with someone who is a narcissist. Because, I think society is really moving forward in setting boundaries. It's something that we're teaching ourselves daily, which is magnificent. But the thing with a narcissist is that they don't care if you have boundaries. They set out to push those boundaries and to cross them. And the more that you allow them to disrespect your boundary, the more they're going to push, the further they're going to push until they literally push you over the edge in some cases. It's a lot of work setting those boundaries. But even having the most simplest boundary, I don't want to be called names, can be a really powerful thing against a narcissist when you maintain it. They're going to hear, okay, they don't want to be called names, so they're going to call you names anyway. But if you continually stick up for yourself, and that can be a really daunting thing to do, people, make it really hard to just live your life without always having to exhaust yourself with standing up for your rights and for your respect. But it's something you have to do, and sometimes you have to do it daily, you have to do it hourly. It's a constant and consistent struggle with a narcissistic abuser to maintain these boundaries, to truly fortify them. It's part of helping you, one, trust your experience, hold your boundary, and hold them accountable. Okay? They're going to try and tell you, well, no, I didn't call you a name, you misunderstood me. And you have to say, no, I heard what you said and I didn't like it. Please don't do that again. Of course, they're going to try and push back. They're going to do it again probably. And every single time you have to tell them, I don't appreciate that. And never lift that boundary for them ever. Because as soon as you lift that boundary, they feel like they got you cornered, and are gonna proceed to push and push more boundaries. Something that I would always hear my narcissist brother tell him was, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Literally, something so simple like that we learn in kindergarten is really difficult for these people to just grasp. It's literally like talking to a potato when you're trying to tell them like that something hurt your feelings. It literally is just like talking to a potato, a spud. But you just have to keep on saying it over and over. And his brother would always say this to him. And I believe, like, that's because he learned, like, he has to hold his boundary with this person. And that's something that I had to learn too. And yeah, it got really volatile when I began to do that. But I'm thankful every day that I did. It's sticking up for yourself. And you don't even have to think of it like that, because that can be really daunting as well. But you have to do it. You have to think of it as holding your boundary. I don't like when you poke me. Don't do that again, and make sure that they don't, and they're gonna do it again every time they do it. Just have to keep on telling them to stop. It's literally like dealing with a narcissist is literally like dealing with a really annoying child. Just because you hold one boundary doesn't mean they're not going to try and to push you in another way. You have to always keep that in mind too. But it's like you have to practice like upholding those boundaries, like no matter what they are, no matter how minimal they are, no matter how much you think like, oh, it's okay, this one time I'll let it slide. You literally cannot do that with a narcissistic abuser. I would say you can't do that with anyone, because it's just good practice to set and maintain the boundaries, like with anyone in your life, but especially these people, because as soon as you give them just like one little quarter inch, they're gonna try and take you the full way. And you have to trust your experience. You have to trust. Oh wow, I did my foundation before my eyeshadow. It's okay. I mean, you can do it either way. I was just trying to practice not doing that. It'd be like that. So, anywho, and you have to trust your experience. Trust your 5 senses. Trust what you hear, feel, smell, see. Okay? Because this is part of how they manipulate you. They take over your senses and say, you didn't hear that. That's not what I said. You didn't see that. That's not what happened. And, if you feel like, this is what Haria Over the Top said. You know that it might be time to leave when you feel like you have to start using your voice recorder on your phone. When you feel like you have to start documenting things that they do to show them later so that they can't say that didn't happen. All right? And I agreed with that. That's more of a red flag type of thing. What am I saying? Oh, but trusting your senses will help you to fortify your boundaries. It's validating. You need to validate your experience on your own, okay? Because they're not going to do that for you. They're going to do everything they can to like make you think that what's happening is in your head. Seriously. And you probably think like, wow, how could they do that? I'll get to that later, okay? But they really can do that. Norvina. They have a lot of these, but I have the orange one, and the orange one looks like this. Oh no. Very fun, very fun. Alright, so you need to trust your senses. You don't want to become an accomplice to your own gaslighting, alright? That's how they do it. They get you to do half the work for them, because you're going to start making justifications and excuses for their behavior. And you really just need to hold them accountable. Hold them accountable for crossing your boundary. Okay, so I just finished my makeup off camera because I wanted to come back and speak to the camera, because this part is really important for me to get out that, the senses that you use to determine your experiences do help you fortify your boundaries, because it validates that your boundaries were indeed violated. And you need to hold this person accountable for doing that misstep, even if it is just 1/4 inch or, whatever. you have to be able to hold them accountable for it, or it's going to keep happening. The way that I think about boundaries and setting boundaries for myself is like regarding myself as my home. I'm my home and everyone in my life is a guest. So how are you going to allow a guest to come into your home and treat you? Are you going to allow your guest to walk in and call you a bitch, to slap you and push you down? Or is that going to be unacceptable in your home? You have to take care of your home. You have to keep it safe. And you have to make sure that people that you let into it are respecting it and respecting you in your own home. And further, holding them accountable. What are going to be the consequences for violating the rules in your home? So someone comes in and slaps you and says, "My bad, I'm actually heavy-handed, it was supposed to be a caress." Well, you know that from your senses that it felt like a slap, and you know that in your home you don't tolerate being slapped. And so now you have to tell that person, if you know that you're heavy-handed, then keep your hands to yourself. Why don't you keep your hands to yourself in my home? Alright, that's all I have to say this time. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful or at least informational for you. And let's continue to grow and fortify our boundaries, not just for or against others, but for ourselves. I got this too from Ipsy. Okay, I like it. Kaleido Cosmetics.